Hey guys, Mr. Pilgrim here, coming at you with our 5th video in our Platinum Trophy Guide for Abyssus. In the last video, we'd gone through finishing all the challenges for all the weapons by completing a run with every weapon, and then also completing the last challenge for the bow, which requires you to first get a win. A little bit odd, considering every other weapon allows you to just get all of their secondary and primary mods, and then the last thing you need is just to get a win with the weapon. But I digress. So now the next thing that we're going to be focusing on is this thing right here, the deep water tank. So upon completing a run, you will get a brine canister. Now, depending on how many brine canisters you have, will initially determine how many of the modifiers that you can add onto your run here in the deep water tank. As you can see, I have 37. And as you can see, I can also see how many canisters I can get per run right now with no modifiers. So, the first thing that I'll say is you probably won't have as many canisters as I do. So, depending on how difficult you want to make your first few runs into this is entirely up to you. If you have enough, by all means, go for the full 30. If not, then you can do it one step at a time. So here is the first thing. As you'll see, these are all of the augments that can be afflicted and be on the enemies. Like the top one, you take extra damage for 8 seconds. Enemies, move faster, all that. Poison applies to you, explosive enemies on death, all the good stuff. That's just one, okay? So if you complete a run with just that one, then you'll get your first trophy. The next one is, I believe, 5 and then 10. I'll double check because you can go into the logbook and see. Now, due to me having to re-record this intro for some reason, due to PlayStation being stupid, yeah, for some reason the video will not copy over for then me to edit it later. But for now, as you can see, I've already done them, but I'm going to go over them anyways. So you got Deepwater 1, 5, 10, and 30. Like I said, if you want to, you can just go for 30 off the bat. So what I'm going to do is just show you guys exactly most of the ones, as you'll see. But for the most part, the overall, I'll just show you with 10 what the run will look like, because that's like more or less going to give you an idea. So your first 4 are pretty much basic, as you need to have those before you can even start looking at the rest. Oh my god, excuse me. So from here, what I would recommend is Corrupted Descent. That one's pretty easy. Tidal Pressure, that one is super easy as well. And then enemies can spawn with 1 additional augmenting effect. That'll put you at 10 already. And so from that, you guys could kind of get an idea of what your runs are going to be like. But if you're really wanting to know, we could probably take it all the way to 15 to give you guys a good understanding. Another good one you could probably take is just the Spiked Charms, to where you take 50 damage every time you pick up a charm. This will kind of give you more of an idea as you're about halfway to the deep water level. Now, I'm going to do a run here, and I'm not going to be using the Tesla gun. I'm actually going to be using the harpoon gun with the turrets and ricocheting rounds, and then the standard primary or secondary mod. So we'll just jump right in, and I'll kind of give some commentary so you guys can kind of see what it looks like. It's really not that much harder than what you'd think, and in some cases, these augments actually make you stronger by giving you more in the long run. So we'll just jump right in. Now, jumping right in, as you can see, we're going to more or less go for almost a similar build to what I use for the disc thrower, and that is going to be for lightning as your primary damage, and we go with a few odd ones for our secondary and our ability. For the most part, you only need the lightning, and it'll carry you all the way through, as the harpoon gun can get some really good upgrades going for it that just make it overall pretty powerful. And then on top of that, you get a good blessing as well, and you basically are carried throughout the run. Despite being on only Deepwater 15 and Deepwater 30, it's almost kind of similar gameplay in some aspects. The only difference is for deep water 30, you need to very specifically choose what you want to make the game harder, if that makes any sense. But for here, we have your basic upgrades. I also increased the fire rate, as being able to fire faster with the harpoon gun is definitely something that helps out quite a lot. But there's more or less 2 upgrades you can get that kind of make that possible, so don't worry if you don't get it the first try. But moving on here, we can then proceed forward, and as you'll notice with this weapon, it does pretty well. And I'm going to take wind as my secondary. I forget that I take the flying turrets compared to how I normally do this fight. But overall, as you'll see, the damage output, it's still pretty solid for the harpoon gun. As you can see, we pretty much almost got all of them down. And just like that, the elite goes down. Pretty easy, I'd say. Nothing too crazy. We do take the supersonic so we can move faster overall. I don't want blood, and being able to upgrade lightning to be 100% is always good. And then as you can see, I'm always taking the harder path because it just rewards with more. Whether you take the charms or not is really not a big deal. Even if it's legendary, it's more gold. That means that you have more opportunities to get more blessings in the long run. As you can see, another upgrade to our blessing just to make it even stronger. And we're able to mow down enemies fairly quickly, I'd say. We haven't gotten the best weapon mod for the harpoon gun yet, but we are going to be getting that. I'll probably just commentate up to the first boss, just so you guys kind of get an idea of how overpowered this run's going to end up becoming. Sadly, we did take damage. Oh no. Not the end of the world. The main 2 things you probably want to try and go for with lightning as well is the static zone and calling down thunderstrikes. Like those 2 in combination with stuff just does really well. I do take the status effectiveness, or 25% more status effectiveness. I will eventually trade it out, so don't worry. But as you'll see here, we've already made it to the first boss in under 7 minutes, which is pretty good, honestly, for being on Deepwater 15. Now, like I said, you don't have to start like how I've started. If you want to start with one and slowly build up to doing the others, by all means, go ahead. It's, your own pace. Just because I do things how I do it doesn't mean you have to. My build's my build, my blessings that I like are mine. You'll have completely different gameplay and style that you want to go for, and by all means. As you can see, though, we're quickly dealing with the first boss pretty easily, since every single attack from our primary is doing lightning damage, and calling down those crits, he goes down pretty quickly. We get a legendary here, which I'm actually going to take, because being able to open up those chests that we get in the shop is just extra. Really, it's all it is. But overall, now I'm going to let you guys enjoy the rest of this run and see how overpowered I get. Alright, so now you guys kind of have an idea and can see what half of the overall thing looks like, and now we can move on to Deep Water 30. Now I'm going to quickly go over some of that, and then we'll hop right into that run. And for the most part for that run, I'm going to actually end up using the other pretty good weapon, the disc thrower with fanfire and inferno discs. If I mention again, just bear with me. Now, as you guys can see, we've got the 30 deep water level ready to go. I'm going to quickly run through most of them. The first four are pretty easy. Enemies can have an additional factor on them that makes it a little bit harder. Uh, you also have corrupted depths that will be harder but will have better rewards. You have to fight all three royal elites in the abyss. That one's really not bad if you have a good build. Then you have to fight the third phase of the final boss. That one's pretty easy. Next we have enemies can spawn with an additional 3 augments. I went for that one instead of the greedy merchants because having merchants available that we can access without needing keys is really going to help out. Next up is we only have 20 minutes to complete an area. If you're being fast and efficient and know what you're doing, 20 minutes is not even that hard. Next is getting hit reduces your max HP by 3. Can be bad. Next up is we have 2 additional corrupted depths per area. Really not that bad. It's basically more of a buff than anything. The only downside is enemies are going to be harder, and you sometimes might have to fight a elite twice. Next up is taking damage, you lose gold. And then the last enemy becomes frenzied. That one can be a bit annoying if certain enemies become frenzied. And then we have spiked charms. Take 50 damage every time you pick up a charm, so you just have to be careful. Now, I then was going to try and do depleted shrines, but I realized you need syringes. So the chance of getting shrines is still there. You just can't get them now after bosses, which isn't really that bad. You can still get them randomly, so don't worry. And then enemy damage increases by 0.3% every second of an encounter. That can sound bad, but it's mainly just going to apply to bosses. Next up, uh, enemies have a 30% chance to have a ghost spawn. It's just an additional enemy that you'll have to deal with or avoid, as you can't kill them. And then last but not least, bosses and everything have more HP and deal more damage. Really not that bad. So instead of the Tesla gun, what I'm going to be doing is going for the disc thrower, using the disc and the dynamo. Now, more or less going to be trying to do the build that I'd normally do for the disc thrower, and that is just lightning. And then I'm also going to be using the turret. Like always, though, I'm going to just kind of do a voiceover for the run. That way you guys can at least enjoy the run and don't have to hear all of my button mashing and everything, because I don't know why my headset likes picking it up too much. But anyways, we're just going to jump right into the run. And like I said, depending on some of these runs, you can have people help you out. If you're really struggling, you can try and add some people or anything like that. But I'm going to show you that you can do everything solo. But if you think it's a little too hard, I completely understand. But let's just jump right in. Alright, so we're going to jump right on into Deep Water 30. So after doing 15, you should be kind of familiar with how it's going to go. The only difference is now it's going to be probably a little bit longer per each area, and you're going to have to be more careful with everything. But if you use the build that I use, or one that you find more comfortable, by all means, I'm going for the disc thrower, and I'm going to be trying to go for all-out lightning. So anytime I get something I don't really care for or don't want, then I'm just gonna smash it, more or less. I'm only trying to take charms and things that I absolutely need. There are some rare exceptions, of course. As you can see here, I'm trying to re-roll until I get the lightning that I want. There we go. You'll see later on why I went so hard on trying to get lightning, but for now we're just gonna hop into the run. As you'll see with some things, certain areas definitely can be a bit more difficult. I'm trying to take out any enemies that buff other enemies or give them shields in any kind of way first, for the most part. And I'm also trying to not take damage. That's gonna sound kind of hard, but every time I get hit, my max HP goes down by 3. So for the most part here, as you can see, we get our first upgrade, and then anytime I can, I am trying to upgrade the chance for lightning and then the overall damage of your basic, upgrade. So more chances and more damage. But I'll probably just commentate through this first area so you guys can kind of get the idea of it. But anytime I can, just spamming my secondary as well. And then whenever I can get an ancient forge, I'm going to definitely try and go for the upgrade that will cause... ironic how I just broke it, and then I end up taking it later on anyways. Oh well. But yeah, whenever I get an ancient forge, I'm basically trying to go for the upgrade on your disc thrower that will give you more discs, and then the one that causes you to hit critical spots to automatically proc your secondary effect, which is really good overall, because then you don't have to worry about mashing a button. It can just be, just spam that. So here we got another ice. I'm going to take the skeleton key because overall being able to open up chests and things is very important, for sure. Here we've got a quick objective room, which is super easy to just run through, boom, like that, it's done. Spam my turrets and then start taking out the enemies that I can first. As you can see, some of these guys are pretty tanky. Them getting buffed and then them having their own augments definitely does not make it fun. So here I get the cooldown, and then I also get the weak spot hits first try. I don't have to re-roll anything, which is always nice. Now, right now, that's not really going to be that big a deal, but later on, as you'll see, it definitely does make an impact on the overall run. But for now, we're just trying to focus it one room at a time, taking it slow. Yes, we have about 20 minutes per area, but as you can see, we've already made it past the first elite, and we're halfway done, and we still have 15 minutes to spare. So overall, it's not bad. Even having to focus on some of the tougher enemies, we're still doing pretty well. So now, I was able to get really lucky and get Thunder Strikes, which is really good. And then, anytime I can, I'm gonna buy those lightning upgrades. The static zone's also really good, as just being in it means more damage is like the best way I could describe it. So here we have our first boss. Now this is the real hurdle of some of the runs. Sadly, I don't have enough money to buy anything else. But from here, as you'll see, this first boss is going to be long. There's nothing you can really do to try and circumvent that unless you are playing with people and you guys just have some really good builds going into this. But solo, you gotta be cautious. You gotta be careful. You gotta be consistent with your movement, your placements, knowing the boss patterns, knowing the AoEs, and all of that. For sure is going to help you out. As you can see, anytime I do get a static zone, I try and get into it. But staying in it's super risky overall. And then just staying mobile. I definitely think for Deepwater 30, this is a lot easier than the other one. But we're about halfway through, thankfully. It doesn't feel like it, but it is. And then afterwards, as you can see, just trying to avoid anything and staying mobile when I can, and then going for those headshots, since I now no longer have to I don't have to manually trigger my secondary attack. I can just spam crits, which is his head, which is pretty big and easy to hit. Overall, pretty good. I'm gonna close the door. There we go. A little bit better. Not trying to have you guys hear my roommate in the other room. But for now, we're just carrying on. Almost done, thankfully. But like I said, as you'll see as the run goes on, that we're getting more and more damage. There is a few close calls, I will state. That's just on me for my bad gameplay. But, more or less, you'll understand. For sure. And we're just going to try and take things that will give us better upgrades and all of that. So I'm going to let the rest of the play out. I don't know why it accidentally cut off there, but yeah. Alright, I'll see you guys at the end. And just like that, guys, we have beaten deep water level 30. It was a bit of a struggle, like I said. Um, some of these runs are entirely dependent on what weapon you like and what charms you get. I did not get the best charms during that run, but as you can see, using the disc thrower and chain lightning for those massive crits that bounce and can deal a lot of damage was nice. There were a few close calls where I was low on healing, but thankfully I was able to hold on to my free revive the whole time, and I didn't need it. But now going forward, I'm just going to reset, yada yada yada, and probably do the next one. Will probably be in the next video, but it's going to be this. And that just gets you to deep water level 18, which isn't bad, but there's a specific build I'm going to be doing for that one, and that's going to be with the Tesla gun and gold. Like I said, it's probably like one of my favorite combos, as you can just keep firing and stay mobile to deal a lot of damage. And one of the aspects of gold actually negates the executioner. So the only time you'll have to melee anything is any boss or certain objectives, and that's it. But this has been Mr. Pilgrim. I do hope that these guides and videos are helpful or informative in any way, shape, or form. As always, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.